Both kids went out for Halloween one year. I believe it was probably 2008, somewhere in that time frame.
It was the last year that I was trick-or-treating, and I suppose my brother too. And we went trick-or-treating.
And all of my friends were like, oh, you gotta check out this haunted house is cool. And I go through it, it was cool, you know? But I sat there and I was like, oh, we could do something like this.
Some of the kids in the neighborhood put on a haunted house, and it was, you know, black trash bags. I think they had like one strobe light.
And they came home, they went through a garage in our neighborhood that was decorated. It was kind of like a miniature home haunt. They said, hey, can we do this in our garage?
That's how we started, and we started off with just black plastic.
You know, the next year we went and just built, you know, out of visqueen, you know, black plastic. We hung up in the garage.
It was the full-blown like spaghetti guts. We had a fan blowing for like wind on the grave. Like it was super, super cheese, but we loved it, and we had a lot of people come out, and so then it just kept becoming this thing where every year we went a little bit more and a little bit more.
Come Halloween the following year, I would say maybe 80 to 100 kids that were daring enough to walk through our garage. And then it starts to get out of control because you really start to get into, you know, this is a blast. We need to add more to it and more. You have hundreds of people on a weekend, you know, going through your haunt and looking forward to it every year. So that's kind of how we got started as a home haunt. I think the creativity comes from just a lot of folks.
There's a lot of different aspects of the creativity, in my opinion. And some of it comes from our family, and a lot of it comes from people who are like our core team.
Initially, it was Matthew. He was the one that kind of had this, I don't know if I want to call it like a Disneyland type vision of things.
As far as the design and the theming and the what monsters we're going to have in here, what storyline is going to be, that is 100% Matthew.
We all contribute something. The creativity, a lot of it is, you know, comes from my mind and my love for Disney.
How should it be? How should the scares be? What does the scenes look like? He would kind of paint this picture to all of us, and then we would pretty much run with it.
Even at the home haunt, we had backstories to our haunts, and you know, he didn't care if anybody else ever knew what they were, but in his mind, that's why we were doing it. There was a story to tell.
Creativity comes from a lot of folks, but it initially starts with us, the four or five members of our family. We always get together. We go to trans world shows, haunted house conventions, and they are just a lot of fun. And you're hobnobbing with all the folks that are in the industry that are, you know, much more creative than myself. You know, I'm kind of the guy that, you know, spends the money and makes it happen, and that type of that's my role. You know, everyone else, Elizabeth, Matthew, Sherry, Steve, they're all bringing more to the table based on going to these shows and listening to people, you know, networking with folks that have done this a long time.
Everybody cares about everything that we do, and there's no one person in charge of one thing. Everybody kind of has their hand in the pot as far as everything goes, so there's a lot of checks and balances going on as far as every little detail, and then there's just a lot of passion behind everything that we're doing. Everybody really, really wants the haunt to be successful. And from the drop panel scare all the way to the host at the front door, there's a lot of attention given to every little nook and cranny and spoken line throughout the whole thing, which gives it a really cool, immersive atmosphere.
We do a lot of things differently than a lot of big name haunts. We don't have a building, we're in a parking lot. We have actual makeup, we don't rely on masks too much. All the actors have a passion for their spot, like Austin said.
Trans World. It is a haunted house convention is what it is. So anybody in the haunted house industry, you're invited to come to this show. It's a once a year show. It's probably the biggest. It's definitely the biggest in the United States, if not the world. You got some of the best makeup artists, prop builders, designers, special effects experts, electronics, lighting, DMX, fog machines, animatronics, mask, makeup, you name it, they have it here.
Something that really, I think, sets us apart is we're always really trying to push our own limits, and we're always having discussions on how we can get better. And like when we go to these trade shows and even at home, our brains are always churning and we're always bouncing ideas off of each other.
I think a lot of it is when we, if I'm not out front talking to people who have left, who've gone through the haunt, Steve is out there talking to folks, and we're always asking them, how'd you like the show? Did you like it? What did you like about it?
Yeah.
And speaking of fans, this is a fan favorite right here. They come looking for
it's
The
Steve.
hype man.
Yeah.
You guys have been killing it. I'm out front and I'm constantly hearing about how amazing all of you guys are and how well you guys put on an excellent show. So let's bring it in, you guys, and then let's have a fucking kick-ass night. We're gonna do it a loud Sanctum on 3, okay, you guys? Bring it in! Bring it in! Bring it in! Oh god, perfect. Okay, all good. Alright guys, Sanctum on 3! 1, 2, 3, Sanctum! I think definitely something that really motivates us is when people from other haunts or even people from out of town come through and they're incredibly impressed with our attention to detail and more importantly kind of our story. We're not just putting something up, we really strive to have an excellent story.
When we first started, we thought, how are you going to get actors to run this haunt? I don't act, and nor does Sherry. We used to think, wow, how are we going to get these people in here? They grow up, they leave, they have other interests, they move on, and how are you going to trickle these people through? That is never the problem. We always get folks asking, how do we become an actor for Sanctum of Horror? You're next! You can apply online. That's how we typically get a lot of our folks. When they come out of our haunt, a lot of them will say, I would love to act in this. How do I do this? How do I get into this? We also have, at the beginning of the year before we open, we have what we call Boo Camp. So Boo Camp was something my daughter Elizabeth came up with.
Come on and meet some of my little friends. No, I do just love them all to pieces.
You need to know what to say, when to say it, and there's always like a diversion scare, right? So somebody is keeping someone occupied by the way they're crawling on a bed or something like that, and there's another person in the closet that once they're preoccupied with the person crawling on the bed, bam, they come out of a corner, scare the heck out of you, and that is what we call diversion scare. So there's many different ways. You have to reset very quickly. So all these things boot camp teaches them. There's a lot of folks that come together to turn this show on. It is a production. It's a play. It's an entertaining show is what it is. We would typically have anywhere from 35 to maybe as high as 50 folks a night behind the scenes.
Not just actors, tech teams, team leaders, people that work the front, ticket sales, all that stuff, security, everybody. So they all work together to put something on that's super special.
I'd like to think when customers come to see us for the first time anyway, that they're, we're in a parking lot of a mall, so we don't have a building. There's different types of haunts. You can be in a cornfield somewhere. You can be on a farm, perhaps. You can be in a building, and that's nice. We elected to go outside, so we set our haunt up and then we take it down, and it's a tremendous amount of work in itself. But with those type of haunts, they're usually not as detailed. And our goal and our quality that we want to deliver to a customer, we want to immerse them into the room. We don't have a roof. We're an open-aired haunt. That's the regulations in our area in Mesa, Arizona. So that's what you have to deal with. But there's lots of things you can do to make it look good and look real. You really want to get folks into, wow, I'm really in a set. And we go all out when we decorate our sets. We put a tremendous amount of time in the panels when we're building them. A tremendous amount of time in stressing them. We build all of our own panels, and we don't believe in a haunt that has nothing but black walled mazes. That just is not going to get it done. You're going to get crown molding. You're going to get walls that look like they've been broke through because they're damaged. When you walk to the haunt, you're thinking, I'm in a real home, and we'll have scent. So if you were to go into a room that was a morgue of some sort or a slaughter room, you're going to smell rotting corpse when you walk through the room. So there's so many things you can do to immerse someone in the scene that you're trying to project.
The second you walk in our gate, we have line actors running after you. You come up to the ticket booth, you buy your tickets, you get in line. We are, we have shows going on. We have we call our little halftime show. We get up and throw t-shirts. There are line actors constantly interacting with you. And so I think that is something that we really pride ourselves on, is we know it. The second you walk in, we want you to be a part of the show and in it. And once you're in the haunt, though, it's like a whole different world. We want you to forget that you are in a mall parking lot. You are in this house. You are in this top secret military bunker. That is where you are. And even though we're an open air haunted house, I feel like we pay so much attention to our set design and our makeup and our costumes and our actors, what they're doing. People don't even notice that you can look up and see the stars in the sky. They are so immersed in what is happening in front of them that that part doesn't really matter.
My son's always reminding me of this. He says, when you build these panels, we need to put depth to them. It just looks so much better. We have full pianos, real pianos in a haunt that's in a parking lot. And people are going, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Who would do this, right? And yeah, we're crazy enough to do it.
When I go and watch the guests come out, and they have a smile on their face, and they said that was the coolest thing I've ever been through. That puts a big old smile on my face. Because, when I go to theme parks and stuff like that, come off a ride or go to Disneyland, I have a big smile on my face, and that's what I like to see. They kind of love what I gave to them, what they experienced, and that makes me happy. That's the whole point of why I do that, because I really want people to come out and be like, that was amazing.